Good day, everyone. Last week we discussed about the different communication models, specifically Aristotle's model of communication, Shannon Weaver's model of communication, Osgood Scram's model, and Eugene White's 8 stages of oral communication. For this week 3, we are going to deal with the different communication ethics. So please do watch this recorded video discussion because on Wednesday, you are going to take your synchronous quiz, meaning to say only those who will attend our Wednesday class will have a chance to take that quiz. So allow me to share my screen. Okay, please do not be confused on this module because what I have sent to you last Friday is just the same with this one. I've just chunked it into several phrases for me to be able to discuss it comprehensively. So ethics is an integral part of communication. When we communicate, we do not simply choose words. We choose words for the effect they will have on our audiences, on ourselves, and ultimately on society. Also, we choose the manner of communication because sometimes what matters is not what you say, but how you say things. Thus, when we communicate, we ask ourselves how harmful or helpful our words and our ways are. Just like what I have mentioned before we ended up our week 2 discussion last Wednesday in the Bible verse Proverbs chapter 18 verse 21. It says there that death and life are in the power of the tongue, and those who love it shall eat its fruit. Meaning to say that words are very powerful. We could make or break someone because of the words that we utter. It could be harmful or helpful. That is why I'm encouraging everyone to utter words that are helpful rather than could harm or destroy someone's life. Communication ethics therefore emphasizes that morals influence the behavior of an individual, group, or even the organization, thereby affecting their communication. Now, we need to consider these several ethics in communication for us to have a healthy relationship with one another. So what are those ethical communication? First, ethical communicators are respectful of their audience, meaning to say that communication is a two-way process. The communicator must consider then the audience's ideas and feelings during interaction. So have you ever thought about what it means to be respectful? If saying please and thank you comes easily to you, you may have thought of your efforts of respect are right where they should be. However, it is important for us to expand our appreciation for what it really means to be respectful. So, in terms of being respectful, we must practice politeness, courtesy, and kindness. No matter you're speaking to or who you are speaking to, what your mutual history is, what kind of day you are having, or whatever other factors you bring to the table, good manners are a constant must. Good manners must always be there. Be kind every day, though it is a hard thing to do, right? But it is not impossible. Be courteous regarding others' needs or opinions, and be polite at all times. Even if you're not feeling your kindness, a little respect goes a long way and it will reflect on you positively. Also, we must listen graciously. Since communication is a two-way interaction, we must practice active listening. Because sometimes people have a tendency to do a lot of talking when it comes to communicating across um, companies or even with your friends, classmates, and family. But you should take time to listen. Successful and respectful communication is a two-way street. So make sure that when you are having a conversation with other people, you take the time to attentively listen and to have an active listening. Another one is in terms of being respectful, you should avoid negativity. No matter how frustrated you are, it is never acceptable to insult, or make fun of either people or their ideas. In the end, it will only lead to mutual loss of respect that could affect the relationship within a certain community. So we must take time to avoid negativity and choose positivity in terms of expressing our ideas, and we must collaborate to solve problems and to address issues. So communication is an extremely important aspect of our everyday lives that is so easy to overlook. Whether you're in a conversation with your coworkers, with your classmates, or your friends, we should practice strong and honest communication for us to foster a good relationship. That is why the key thing here is respect. We keep on saying respect begets respect, right? Second one, ethical communication or communicators consider consequences of their actions. We are familiar with the saying, think before we speak, right? So, why think before you speak? Because while most of us are pretty careless with the words we choose, words are just so powerful. They can be helpful or hurtful and can have a direct influence reaction in our world. Words define our identity and reveal our attitudes and sensitivities, reflecting on who we are. Our choice of words gives listeners an indication of our intelligence or ignorance. And when we continually reinforce and turn into habitually negative thought patterns, they have the power to create a bad habit of dwelling on the negativities in life. The problem is, once words exit our mouth, no amount of apologies will make them magically go back in. Blurting something out and then trying to retract it is like shutting the gate after the horse has bolted. On the other hand, thinking before we speak allows us the time to consider the effect of the words we are choosing. That's why we must face the consequences of the words based on the words that we utter. So, thinking then before we speak is really a good habit to develop to avoid causing trouble in our life, whether you are in a relationship, career, or anything. When you do not think before you speak, you are more likely to make badly informed statements and reduce your credibility as a speaker. Now, to develop our healthy habits in terms of speaking, we must think of the acronym THINK. That's THINK. So, what does it mean? Letter T stands for true. Is what you are saying actually true? Or is it fake news? Lies and misinformation hurt others and reflect the liar as someone untrustworthy. So, that's the first one. T stands for true. Second one, H stands for helpful. Are your words helpful? Assisting others to make better decisions through offering good advice is also important. I stands for inspiring. Are others inspired by the way you are saying? People are greatly inspired by words which have the influence to prompt others to do amazing things. N stands for necessary. Do your words really need to be said? Useless chatter is annoying, right? While language that actively hurt others is wholly unnecessary. Sorry for the noise. K stands for kind. Is what you want to say kind? We all know that saying, if you don't have anything nice to say, then say nothing at all. Unkind sentences obviously have the power to hurt or to hurt people. So the think concept is useful not only in day-to-day interactions but also for situations where words are employed, such as in cyberspace or in social media. Hurtful comments online are just as painful as they said in real life. That is why we must think before we speak. Third, ethical communicators respect the truth. A great deal of the ethics of communication involves a respect for truth. Indeed, as one has put it, the assumption of truth undergirds the very concept of communication itself. An inherent end of speech is a communication of belief. If we cannot trust the other party, we cannot accurately judge how to respond. If we cannot accurately judge how to respond, then our communication becomes increasingly ineffective. That is why we must be an advocate of truthfulness, meaning to say, we should not be the one to spread fake news because we all know that fake news is rampant nowadays. Whenever we scroll in our Facebook or in social media, fake news will always be there. Now, it is for us on how to discern fact news into fake news. So before we tend to repost something in social media, we need to be responsible in posting. That is why we must fact check first. We should know if the source is credible or reliable. As I have mentioned, we must be an advocate of truthfulness and not be the one who is spreading fake news to other people. Next, ethical communicators use information properly. Communicators have the responsibility to give and acquire adequate and accurate information. As an ethical communicator, a respect for truth, meaning being informed on a topic before posting as any kind of authority on the subject. We also need to consider the accuracy of the information, just like what we have mentioned, and the accuracy with which we use it. When we communicate, we expect people to react in some way to what we say and do. When we use inaccurate information to influence others, we cause difficulty for them and for ourselves. That is why we should be accountable on what we are posting in Facebook, in Twitter, in Instagram, and in other social media because we tend to influence other people when they read what we are posting on what we have posted. That's why we need to be careful also in posting different things in social media. Fifth, ethical communicators do not falsify information. Worse than the distortion of information is the spreading of or is falsifying information. Failing to find information useful to our goals, we make it up. This is a form of cheating. Therefore, it should by all means be avoided. So, there is a difference between misinformation and disinformation. And for this one, when we try to distort information, that means that we are doing disinformation than misinformation. So, amid the coronavirus pandemic, we are all desperate for information, right? Where the virus come from? Is there really a cure? Is the vaccine really true? How can we keep staying safe? And will life get back to normal? So in the case of COVID-19, information can be a literal lifesaver when it is true. Wrong information doesn't help anyone and can even make things worse. Like a virus, wrong information can spread, causing what's been called as disinformation. So, what is the difference now of misinformation and disinformation? Misinformation is false information that is spread regardless of intent to mislead. So, for this one, example, our class is 7:30 to 8:30, and then you were able to mishear or um, misremember details. So instead of 7:30, um, you thought it is 8 o'clock. Then you tell to your friends that your class is 8 o'clock instead of 7:30. So regardless of the intent or the intention, it is still misinformation because of the wrong information. How about disinformation? Disinformation now is false information as about it is all about knowing spreading misinformation. So meaning to say, let's go back to our example a while back. Our class is 7:30. Diba? If we say misinformation, you have misread it, or yeah, you thought that it is 8 but actually it's 7:30. Misinformation yan. When we say disinformation, you really know that our class is 7:30, but then you want to make your classmates look foolish, so you tell them that our class is 9 o'clock. So you are supplying them now disinformation. So that's the difference between two. Disinformation is very powerful, destructive, and divisive. And it is a common tool to destroy also the reputation of other people when you are trying to disinform them. So you should avoid that one. Avoid falsifying information, especially if you know the truth and then still you are spreading false information. Sixth, ethical communicators respect the rights of others to information. A respect for truth and an ethical consideration of others also means respecting the rights of others in regard to information and access to information. Collecting information is an integral part of a research process, but stealing information is theft, taking something that does not belong to us. Beyond the personal act or theft, stealing information is unethical because it prevents other people from securing information and unnecessarily makes their lives more difficult. So with this one, when we tend to plagiarize something, that is also not respecting the others to information. When we are plagiarizing something, we try to steal the information, right? Like it is our own, but actually it's not our own because we have just copied it somewhere else. So with that one, we should respect the real owner of that idea of that certain thing. So those are the six ethical or ethics in communication. First, let us repeat. Yeah, sorry. The first one is ethical communicators are respectful of their audience. So it is a two-way process, meaning to say we should practice active listening, not only in terms of speaking. Second, ethical communicators consider the consequences of their communication. That's why think before we speak, because there will always be consequences of what we say or our actions. Third, ethical communicators respect the truth. That is why we need to fact check. Do not um, share false information to other people. We must be accountable to that one. Fourth, ethical communicators use information properly, just like in the third one, avoid fake news and just spread um, news that are true. Fifth, ethical communicators do not falsify information. So also this information is a no-no. And lastly, ethical communicators respect the rights of others to information. So we need to respect others' um, right to information and also the access to information. That's why do not plagiarize the ideas of other people. Observing a code of ethics, especially in communication, is essential as it determines the kind of behavior that